Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, I'm sorry I'm late with this review. The chapter actually ended up coming out a day earlier than I expected it to. But I'm okay with being late on this one just because this week's chapter, while it was enjoyable, it ultimately wasn't all that important to the overall plot. I mean, the beginning of it has some relevance, but the majority of the chapter, in fact, the ending of the chapter, really was just there for comedic relief. So while I did enjoy the chapter, I thought it was a lot of fun reading it. It ultimately didn't matter that much to the plot. Okay, so we open up the chapter and we're still inside the courtroom, and we see that just like at the end of last week's chapter, where the scales that were judging Asta were still 50-50 on the public's opinion on him, we see that verbalized in this chapter because of the fact that amongst all the royals and nobles in the crowd inside the courtroom, we see that half of them kind of agree with Joyce's plan, or at least kind of have some trust in Joyce, while the other half are saying he's a demon and we should execute him on the spot. They're all kind of up in the air, mostly because of the fact that since they actually get to see that Joyce is actually sticking up for him, and the fact that both Fugoyan and Nozel, two people who are both royals in their own right, and who are captains of their own magic squads, are here in Asta's defense as well, they're kind of more willing to accept that maybe Asta isn't the character they all think he is, or he's not that bad, and are willing to trust those three characters. And when it comes to them saying that Asta is innocent, but at the same time, it's still 50-50. So ultimately, Dominato, since there is no real outcome of this, he basically says, all right, I'm going to let Joyce's decision go forward. He's going to let them go into exile. But he is very clearly not happy about it. And we get to see how unhappy he is with it when he actually gets to confront Joyce later on in the chapter. In fact, right after this, we see him and Joyce talking. And first of all, it seems like Dominato and everyone else who at least has some high rank when it comes to in the military inside the Clover Kingdom already knows that Joyce is a kid, which is something I thought he was actually trying to keep hidden. But seemingly the way Domino just kind of walks up on him and starts talking to him and doesn't have any real reaction to the fact that he's a 13-year-old. Seems like everyone's already kind of figured it out at this point. In fact, even the character we actually see after the two of them end up having their talk doesn't really react to it the way I expected him to. So I'm guessing most people were already kind of aware of it at this point. But anyway, the two of them are talking, and Domino basically tells Julius, hey, no matter what ends up happening, the outcome is on you. Like, he says he's going to go along with Joyce's plan for now, but if the scales weigh against Asta, he's going to call all of them back and execute Asta on the spot. And basically he says that the outcome of this, regardless if it ends up being in the favor of the kingdom or against the kingdom, this is all going to come back on you. You hold all the responsibility for it. And Joyce accepts that. Joyce basically says, yeah, I'm going to take that on. Because, and I don't remember the exact quote that Joyce puts forward in this part of the chapter, but when him and Domino are talking about Asta, he basically says that he is putting his faith and his trust in the Black Bulls and the fact that they will be able to find either evidence of the demon or come back to the capital or to the kingdom itself with something that would actually benefit the kingdom in the long run. And you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense for Joyce to have so much faith in the Black Bulls, because if you think about past events, they went to the Water Temple on his instructions to get the Magic Stone. They came back with it and a little bit more information on the Midnight Sun's Eye than they originally had. They went to the Witch Queen's forest with no mission whatsoever. They were just going there to visit to find a way to cure Asta's arms, and ended up coming back with a magic stone and having defeated major enemies inside from the Diamond Kingdom, as well as kind of make the Witch Queen their ally in a certain sense. And on top of that, through the entire events that just transpired with the demon and the elves evading, the Black Bulls were a key factor in their victory. They were leading members in the charge against the elves, managed to stop a majority of the strong elves, and it was Asta who put the finishing blow on the major villain, the demon. Time and time again, ever since Asta has joined their squad, the Black Bulls have come back with better results than anyone has ever expected of them. And because of this, it makes a lot of sense that Joyce would be like, hey, I trust these guys to put forward or come back with something of importance to us, whether it be information on the demon and proof of his existence that will prove Asta's innocence, or something that will benefit the kingdom in general, like maybe information about one of the other kingdoms that are planning to attack us, or some kind of magical item that will ultimately boost our defense and military power, something of that nature. It doesn't matter. I have full trust in their abilities to do something that will benefit the kingdom in some way. Now, Dominato may not be happy about it, but he does ultimately decide to go along with Joyce's decision to exile Asta and the Black Bulls, and he kind of just leaves with the warning that, hey, if public opinion goes against Asta, I will call them back, regardless of what you say, and I will execute him on the spot. And that's pretty much where he leaves the chapter. We get this really touching moment between Marks and Joyce where we actually get to see Marks react to the fact that Joyce is alive, and after he reads Joyce's memories, see the events that transpired and finally catch up with everything. Because you got to remember, Marks was actually out of it for a majority of the events that just transpired. Because he, immediately after Julius died, he got possessed by the elf. And as far as he's been aware, he's been kind of blacked out for the entire thing. So he had no idea what happened. He had no idea about the demon. He knew that Julius died, but he didn't know what was going on after that. Everything's just a complete blank for him. So now that he's all caught up, he's happy. The two of them embrace, and it's just a nice touching scene with a little bit of comedy at the end, where Marks tells Julius that he has a mountain of work for him to catch up on. And you know what? Actually, speaking of Marks, real quick, I just now remembered from this chapter that he has the ability to look into people's memories. And if I remember correctly, back, I want to say like in the first 20 or so chapters or whatever chapter it was, when he was interrogating those two members of the Midnight Suns, didn't he project their memories kind of like a movie so that everyone could see them? So if he has that kind of ability, wouldn't he have been a key factor in proving the innocence of Asta and all the Magic Knights and civilians that were possessed by elves during these past few events that just happened? Because it seems like sending him to the courtroom to prove the innocence would have been the better option than exiling the Black Bulls and Asta. Now I get it. It was a good decision on Tabata's part. Basically, this gives him an excuse to do some world building. But when it comes to in-story, in-world knowledge, his abilities would have been a big help. It would have proved everyone's innocence, would have proved the demon's existence. And even if the nobles and royals ultimately didn't end up believing what happened, and thought that there was some way that Marks was, fabricating the events, they could have then went with the plan B of exile and Asta. But still, it seems like, in my opinion, the smarter move for Julius and for everyone else who was actually trying to help Asta out and save his life would have been to send Marks there, to use his abilities to basically project Asta's memories, and probably a few other people, like maybe maybe Fugoyan and Nozel, people who actually got to interact with the demon directly, like Yami or Sekre. Anybody, literally anyone who was inside the Dark Castle at that time could have been a big help by showing off their memories. We get this really touching scene between Charlotte and Soul, and we see that, Charlotte's still recovering from everything that just transpired. And when the two of them are talking, Charlotte apologizes to Soul about the fact that since her body was being controlled by the elf, she wasn't there to protect everyone like she should have been, since she's the captain. In fact, she probably even ended up hurting a few people while she was being possessed by an elf before Yami and her came into conflict. And Soul ultimately tells her, no, it's not your fault. It's my fault for being so weak that I couldn't protect anyone, including my own self, and had to have Yami come in and save me from being killed. And I feel like this moment right here is basically just showing us that Soul is going to go through some major character growth the next time we see her. Maybe the next time she's in a major battle, we'll see that she's a lot stronger than she was before, because of the fact that she felt like she's a failure in this situation, and she'll need to get stronger in case anything like this ever happens again. And maybe next time, now that she has a newfound respect for Yami, maybe next time she's in a fight and she has a male teammate, she won't be belittling them and kind of yelling at them like she usually does. Maybe she'll actually have some kind of trust in them and actually be more friendly to them. I don't know. I just feel like this moment is going to lead to and the events that transpired is going to lead to some major character growth for Soul in the future. Now, the rest of the chapter is pretty much all comedy. We see Charlotte reacting to the fact that she still has some of her memories from when she was possessed by the elf. And she knows that there were moments where the elf version of her and Yami were getting close and being friendly. And they were actually physically very close when they were trapped in that tight spear that Yami created to save them from the demon's mana eating magic. And basically, she starts to get very embarrassed. Because she also starts to think that maybe in the DL's final moments before the spirit went away, that she might actually reveal to Yami that Charlotte had feelings for her. Or Felix for him, and in that moment, right when she's at her peak embarrassment, Yami shows up in response to basically check up on her, kind of see how she's doing. He ultimately just wanted to ask her a question about forbidden techniques, but because she is so fucking embarrassed, we see Charlotte just completely overreact. She ends up running out the window of the room they're in, running down the street. She ends up knocking out some guy who's aggressively hitting on this girl. She runs through a building, ends up kidnapping a kid by accident, turns around, returns the kid to the mom, and then at the very end of the chapter, she runs across the lake. Like, literally, just like the Flash, she just runs right across, not stopping whatsoever, screaming at the top of her lungs out of embarrassment. And that's pretty much where the chapter ends. It's just like a completely comedic scene between Charlotte and Yami. Something that, had me laughing, had me rolling on the ground when I read it. But I did have one question after reading the scene. Why did Yami go to Charlotte of all people to find out information on forbidden techniques? Now, he says that it has something to do with what the elf version of her mentioned before she went away. But the only thing I can really remember her mentioning is the fact that she said that Charlotte's body, or the curse that was on her body, has been lifted because of the fact that she is in it now. Like, she used her own mana to lift the curse that was put on Charlotte. So maybe that has something to do, like, maybe the curse that was put on Charlotte had some kind of effect, or maybe that actually was a result of a forbidding magic. Maybe that's the reason why he's coming to her, because he kind of figured that out. But I don't know. It seemed like the person he should have went to the most, or at least the two people he should have went to before thinking about going to her, would have been Julius and Nero. Nero, obviously, because she used forbidden magic before, she has been affected by a curse, as a result of the forbidden magic. So she would have some expertise on it. And Julius, because of the fact that he has been proven time and time again to have more knowledge on things than we ultimately thought he did originally. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand why Yami would go to Charlotte. I mean, like I said, maybe it is the fact that her ancestor, or maybe one of her parents, used a forbidden technique, and the result of that was a curse that she had been under her entire life. I don't know, but yeah, that's the only thing I can really think of. But yeah, guys, it's pretty much where the chapter ends. There's not really much else to talk about. Like I said, the chapter really wasn't that important plot-wise. I mean, the beginning of it, sort of, but the rest of it, not really. And I'm pretty sure that this is how the next two chapters are going to go. Since we know that Asta and the Black Bulls are going to be leaving the kingdom, we're most likely going to be following their adventure for the majority of the series. So that means we're probably not going to see a lot of these characters who live inside the kingdom for a long time. So because of that, I'm guessing the next few chapters are just going to be spent with the Black Bulls saying goodbye to everyone who's kind of important to them. Like, we're probably going to say goodbye to Mimosa and Klaus. We're probably going to say goodbye to Leo, Mario, Yona, Fugoyan. We're probably going to see a moment between Noelle and her siblings finally kind of reconciling their differences. And we're definitely going to see in the final chapter, right before they actually end up leaving the kingdom, a moment between Yuno and Asta where Yuno and Asta kind of say their goodbyes, probably make their pledge to be stronger the next time they see each other, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.